on December 4th, 2019, 26-year-old Lena Hartley walked into the east elevator of the Pinecrest Apartments in Denver, Colorado. It was 9:13 p.m., cold, windy, and one of the quietest nights of the year. Lena had just left her friend's place on the 5th floor. She pressed the button for the lobby and smiled faintly at the security camera. That smile would become the most replayed moment of the entire investigation. At 9:14 p.m., the elevator descended smoothly. Nothing seemed unusual. But halfway down, the lights flickered. Just once. Lena looked up, not scared, just confused. The camera continued recording. She checked her phone, shifted her weight, waited. At 9:15 p.m., the elevator doors opened on floor 3. Lena stepped out, hesitated for half a second, as if she heard something behind her. And then she walked to the left, toward the hallway security had marked as restricted access. No one ever saw her again after that moment. Security footage from floor 3 was reviewed more than 100 times, but investigators noticed something almost no one else did. At 9:42 p.m., exactly 27 seconds after Lena stepped out of the elevator, the hallway camera glitched. Not a normal glitch, not static, not digital distortion. It froze for exactly one frame. A single frame that looked almost intentional. When the image returned, Lena was no longer in view. The hallway was empty, silent, still. But investigators noticed something else when they slowed the footage down frame by frame. In the frozen frame, behind Lena, just at the edge of the shot, a faint silhouette appeared. Not human-shaped, not clear, just present. It stood near the door to the old maintenance corridor, a corridor that had been sealed for over 6 years. And the worst part? The silhouette seemed to be facing her. The door Lena disappeared near was labeled Maintenance, Authorized Personnel Only. But according to the building logs, no one had entered that hallway since 2013. When detectives reached the door the morning after she vanished, they noticed something impossible to ignore. The dust on the floor had been disturbed. A clean, narrow trail led directly to the door and under it. They opened the lock carefully. Inside was a long, narrow corridor, lit by a single flickering bulb. Concrete walls, peeling paint, a cold draft drifting from deeper inside. But the strangest thing wasn't the corridor. It was the elevator footage they replayed while standing there. At 9:15 p.m., the exact moment Lena disappeared, the maintenance door behind them opened for 6 seconds. No one was scheduled to be there. No one was seen leaving. No one was recorded entering. And yet the door had opened as if someone or something was waiting for her. When detectives polled the building's full camera logs, they noticed something chilling. From the moment Lena stepped out of the elevator at 9:15 p.m. to the moment her phone disconnected from the apartment Wi-Fi system at 9:29 p.m. 14 minutes. Exactly 14. A whole life wiped out in the time it takes to warm up leftovers. Detective Rowan zoomed in on the footage from the maintenance corridor. At 9:17 p.m., 2 minutes after Lena disappeared, a shadow moved across the far wall. Not a person, not a full figure, just movement, low, gliding, too fast and too smooth to be someone walking. At 9:22 p.m., something else appeared. One of the old metal doors at the end pushed inward, slowly, as if nudged from the inside. But there were no fingerprints, no footprints, no physical evidence. Just a corridor, a missing woman, and 14 minutes no camera could explain. The detectives kept repeating the same question. Why did the cameras record everything before and after, but nothing in between? Detective Rowan and the tech team reviewed the elevator footage frame by frame. At first glance, the footage looked normal. But when the timestamps were aligned with the building's internal system, something didn't match. At 9:15:28 p.m., the elevator showed Lena stepping out onto floor 3. But according to the system logs, the elevator never stopped on floor 3. Not once. The elevator went from floor 5 straight to the lobby without interruption. On the elevator's log timeline, floor 3 did not exist. Rowan leaned closer to the footage. He ordered, "Run it again." When they slowed the video down to 1% speed, the hallway behind Lena flickered. Not the camera. The hallway. For a fraction of a second, it looked empty. Completely empty. No floor, no walls, just blackness. Then the image snapped back to the hallway as normal, and Lena walked out as if nothing had happened. The tech specialist whispered, "Sir, this footage isn't showing what actually happened. It's showing what something wanted us to see." Detectives returned to floor 3 to re-examine the hallway where Lena supposedly stepped out. The corridor was silent. No windows, no airflow, no open vents. But Rowan noticed something he had missed before. A long, thin black mark streaked across the floor just a few feet from the maintenance door. It wasn't dirt. It wasn't burn marks. It looked like something had been dragged. But the most disturbing part wasn't the mark itself. It was the shape. When Rowan followed it with his eyes, the line curved in a perfect semicircle, as if someone had been pulled back into the maintenance hallway while resisting. Rowan knelt, ran his finger along the mark. The floor was warm, too warm, as if the mark had been made recently. But the building's temperature logs showed no heat spikes, and the last recorded activity in that hallway was 20 minutes after Lena disappeared. Rowan stood up slowly. Someone, or something, had been in that corridor after the footage ended, and long after the building should have been empty. Back in the security office, Rowan asked the tech team to boost the audio from the elevator camera. Normally, elevator microphones pick up only faint mechanical noise, but this time, there was something else. They isolated the 6 seconds right before the footage glitched. At first, it sounded like static. Then, as they increased the gain, a faint rhythmic sound emerged. Not footsteps, not machinery, breathing. Slow, shallow, too close to the microphone to be anyone standing inside the elevator. Rowan leaned in. "Where is this coming from?" he asked quietly. The technician swallowed hard. "It's behind her." They ran the audio through spatial mapping software. The result made everyone in the room freeze. The breathing was not coming from the elevator box. It was coming from the maintenance shaft running behind the elevator wall. And it grew louder right as Lena stepped out on floor 3. As if something had been waiting for her to leave the elevator. After discovering the breathing in the audio, Detective Rowan requested the building's environmental logs: temperature, electricity, air pressure. He expected nothing unusual. He was wrong. At exactly 9:15 p.m., the moment Lena stepped out of the elevator, the temperature in the maintenance corridor dropped from 68 degrees Fahrenheit to 51 degrees Fahrenheit in less than 3 seconds. The building had no air conditioning connected to that hallway, no vents, no ducts, no machinery, just sealed concrete. Rowan played the elevator footage side by side with the temperature graph. At the exact frame where the hallway flickered into darkness, the temperature plummeted. The tech specialist whispered, "This isn't natural cooling. This is displacement." Rowan frowned. "Displacement of what?" The specialist hesitated. "Heat. As if something entered the hallway that wasn't giving off body warmth." Rowan stared at the screen, jaw tight. Something had moved through that corridor, something that didn't leave footprints or fingerprints, and had no recorded temperature. As if whatever was there was not fully physical. At 3:40 a.m., after hours of replaying footage, the tech team finally found the moment everyone had missed. The single frame, 1/30th of a second, captured by the hallway camera right before the glitch. At first, it looked like motion blur, but when they zoomed in and enhanced the shadows, a shape emerged, low to the ground, bent, long-limbed, too long to be a person standing normally. Something was crawling toward Lena. Rowan leaned closer to the monitor. The figure's head was tilted unnaturally, like it was trying to see around the corner without being seen itself. And the eyes, though blurry, reflected light differently than human eyes. Not red, not glowing, just wrong. The tech specialist whispered, "I don't think that's a person." Rowan swallowed hard. "Freeze it. Sharpen it." They enhanced the frame again. The outline became clearer. Whatever was in that hallway wasn't walking on its legs. It was using its arms. And the direction it crawled was exactly where Lena went. Detective Rowan and Officer Hale returned to the maintenance corridor at noon the next day. The hallway felt colder than the rest of the building, too cold for midday. They reached the door at the far end of the corridor, the same door that had opened at 9:22 p.m. in the footage. It was old, metal, rusted around the hinges. Hale put on gloves and slowly pulled it open. A rush of air pushed past them. Not warm, not cold, just empty, like air from a place that hadn't been opened in years. Inside was a small concrete chamber. No furniture, no pipes, no storage, just an empty room with dust covering every inch, except one. In the center of the floor was a circular mark, a perfect ring where the dust had been disturbed. Rowan crouched beside it. Something was placed here, he murmured. Hale scanned the walls with his flashlight. No, something was sitting here. And then Rowan noticed a single, long scratch on the far wall. Fresh, deep, as if something with strength had tried to climb out. Officer Hale inspected the concrete room, inch by inch. Nothing. No debris, no footprints, no dust displacement, except the perfect circle in the center. But just as they were about to leave, Rowan noticed something wedged behind a rusted wall panel. A small piece of paper. He slid it out carefully. It was thin, yellowed, folded many times as if someone had hidden it in a hurry. He unfolded it. Inside was a torn journal page, written in shaky handwriting. The first line read, "I hear it crawling at night." Another line below, "It hides when the lights come. It waits when the lights go." Rowan's heart pounded as he read the final sentence, written darker, harder, as if carved into the paper. "It doesn't walk. It drags itself." Hale exhaled slowly. Who wrote that? Rowan looked at the page again. The date on the corner was from 2004, 15 years before Lena disappeared. And the handwriting belonged to a former tenant who had vanished without a trace. At headquarters, Rowan had the journal page digitally enhanced. As the tech team worked, another officer rushed in holding a USB drive. "It's from the elevator's backup mic system," he said breathlessly. "The second recording, the one we almost missed." Everyone leaned in. They played the audio. At first, just silence. Then, a faint scraping. Metal on metal. Slow. Rhythmic. Heavy. Bess. Rowan asked for the waveform to be amplified. The scraping grew louder, closer, until it became painfully clear. Something was climbing inside the elevator shaft. Not climbing like a worker, not stepping on rungs, dragging itself upward. Each movement produced a low, guttural exhale, not quite human, but unmistakably alive. Then came the final sound. At the exact moment, Lena stepped out on floor 3. A second pair of breaths joined the first. Close, right behind her. 2 sets of breathing in a space where only one person should have been. Rowan's voice cracked. It wasn't waiting in the hallway. It was already inside the elevator shaft. Rowan and Hale returned to Pinecrest Apartments that same evening. This time, they brought a full inspection team, climbing gear, thermal cameras, and portable lights. Their target was the elevator shaft. As the maintenance crew opened the metal panel, a wave of cold air rushed out. Not normal cold. A deep, heavy cold, like air trapped far below ground. Rowan lowered a thermal camera. The screen showed blue and black void. No heat signatures. No machinery warmth. Just emptiness. Hale shined a flashlight down the shaft. The beam didn't reach the bottom. It was swallowed by darkness far too quickly. Then someone gasped. "Sir, Look at this. On the inside wall of the elevator shaft, 15 feet down, were long black streaks. Not oil, not rust. Marks. Marks from something dragging itself upward. The deeper the streaks went, the more distorted they became, as if whatever made them didn't move like a human. Rowan's hands tightened. This is where it followed her, and where it went back down after she vanished. The tech team finally decrypted the corrupted hallway footage. It wasn't supposed to be recoverable. 48 damaged frames, all from the same window of time, 9:15 p.m. to 9:29 p.m. The missing 14 minutes. Frame by frame, the video began to rebuild. At first, static, blurs, artifacts. Then, Lena appeared. She was standing in the maintenance hallway, facing the darkness at the end. Her posture was wrong, frozen, stiff, like she didn't want to move or couldn't. Behind her, on the wall, a shadow stretched, but no source created it. The next recovered frame showed her stepping backward, not walking, but being pulled. Her hands were raised, as if she were reaching for something just out of sight. Then the most chilling frame appeared. A shape, low to the ground, crawled into the edge of the footage. Long arms, bent joints, head tilted wrong, and Lena's face, in that single frame, was twisted in silent panic. The frame after that, empty hallway. No Lena, no shadow, just the flickering light, and 14 minutes the building wished it could hide. At 2:14 a.m., Rowan and the inspection team lowered a camera deep into the elevator shaft. The deeper it went, the colder the readings became. 51 degrees, 46, 41. Then the camera stopped descending. Not mechanically. Stopped as if the rope itself had gone slack. On the monitor, dust floated across the frame. The walls narrowed. The light struggled to reach the bottom. Then, movement. A faint shift in the darkness. Rowan leaned in. Focus it, now. The image sharpened. At the bottom of the shaft was a small, hollow space, not part of the blueprints. In that space lay a fabric scrap. Old, dusty, gray. Hale pulled the camera closer. It wasn't just a scrap. It was a torn piece of the same gray shirt Lena had worn the night she vanished. Next to it was a long, dragging mark scored deep into the concrete, leading into a narrow tunnel cut into the wall. A tunnel no human could comfortably crawl through. The final camera frame showed the tunnel vanish into blackness. Then, quietly, from somewhere inside that darkness, a breath. Not mechanical, not imagined. A slow exhale. Alive. The camera cut out instantly. Lena Hartley has never been found, and the tunnel was sealed the next morning.